Welcome to our off-grid farmland where we have been building up our little homestead for the past 12 months. We are based in the Cederberg Mountains of South Africa. This video shares the transformation of our farm, from how we found the land being completely overgrown to all the projects we've been focusing and working on over the last 1 year living completely off-grid. We came to view the piece of land in July 2024 and surprisingly it ticked all of our boxes. With wide open mountain views, a flowing river and a bonus were all the fruit trees. We couldn't believe it since this was the first farm we looked at. We had been traveling South Africa in our self-converted van for the last 3.5 years full-time, visiting over 100 campsites and driving through every province. Our van is a cozy tiny home with a kitchenette, a double bed with loads of storage space underneath.
Welcome to the garage of Yeti the van. In this build we prioritize adventure gear.
We knew this would be perfect for us to live in on the farm as we slowly built up a comfortable base camp and outdoor living space.
Good morning everyone and welcome to our first morning living out of Yeti on our new land.
We cleared and leveled the area to park our van. However, getting there wasn't so easy. We found ourselves stuck in the mud with our van breached on rocks laying in the mud. After hours of digging and removing rocks to clear a path, we thankfully got pulled out by the neighbor's tractor as it was getting dark. We spent our first few nights in the driveway until we found a new route onto our spot. Finally, the van had made it and it was time to begin bringing all our ideas to life. One of the first projects we began with was building a bathroom. With the help from our neighbors, we collected sand and stone from the river to build up the bathroom walls. We installed a septic tank with a flushing toilet and a bathtub, which looks out a large window towards the mountains. We get access to water from a natural spring that trickles through the troughs and builds up pressure as it comes towards the farm. Now that we had a bathroom a few meters away from the van, we cleared a path through the overgrown weeds. Arriving in the middle of winter meant it was the rainy season and many of the trees were in hibernation, so we were not sure if they were all even alive. As you can see, the pear trees next to our van look like they are dead twigs, but we were in for a surprise soon. We repurposed old pallets, creating a temporary deck in front of our van, and then began building raised garden beds to try grow our own food as the springtime was approaching. Slowly but surely, we neatened up our surroundings, cutting away at the long grass and clearing weeds. We found a spot to make a fire pit and in true South African style enjoyed our first braai as we watched the sunset and the stars come out. To expand our growing space, we dug garden beds in the ground and planted seeds, hoping they would grow. Then it was time to begin a huge project of building a roof over our van to create shade. As we made our way into the warmer months, we knew that shade was necessary. We dug holes for the poles and let them set in the ground for a few days. In the meantime, we leveled out our braai area to avoid any twisted ankles and visited the local nursery to add flowering plants to the garden. With little rainfall this time of year, we wanted to add irrigation to easily water all of our plants. We laid water pipes throughout the garden and added sprinklers. We had been using portable power banks with a foldable solar panel until our fully off-grid setup arrived. Since this farm has no electrical hookup, we invested in solar panels with an inverter and batteries for all of our electrical needs. Then it was time to continue with the roof build, as we needed somewhere to store our solar panels and the days were heating up. The roof build was extremely physically challenging, working with 6-meter beams so high up, and this was our first time ever attempting something like this. All this time, Michael had been searching for a farm truck on Facebook Marketplace, and when this 1978 Land Rover Series 3 came up for sale, we had to get it. Our dream farm truck, which we named Honey due to the yellow color, and the honey badger, which is a strong, hardy African animal that translates to rattle, which is written on our number plate. To create doubled shade, we added bamboo to the roof, and that meant our solar panels could be installed. A final touch was painting all the beams, which we definitely should have done before putting them up, but at least we know for next time. We strung up stellar lighting bulbs, and that evening was so magical as we watched the farm lighting up a golden glow. As we began to see our seeds sprouting, we were excited to plant more vegetables and dig up even more garden beds for extra growing space. Then something we never expected happened. We got a wood-fired hot tub from Carbo, which was a luxurious addition to the farm, and we couldn't wait to relax in it. But first we did some work on the area. We packed a small stone wall, used bamboo to close up the hot tub, then added a gumpole wall to separate the vegetable garden from the hot tub. We could also see the first of our seedlings succeeding in the vegetable garden.
It's so soft.
We hadn't spent much time working towards the bottom half of the citrus orchard, so we decided to add sprinklers to get the grass growing greener and give the trees some water, as this was also when we began clearing the alleys between the fruit trees. Our pathway to the bathroom has been a work in progress throughout our time here. Initially, we laid stones, but then we found pavers to add. We hand-collected rocks to use along the edges and added pavers with the pebbles in between. However, we still have plans to upgrade this in the future. Suddenly it was December, and to celebrate our first Christmas on the land, we planted a Christmas tree and decorated the van as we planned to welcome family to visit Mountain and Moon Farm. After a wholesome holiday and getting engaged after 7 years together, we were back to work clearing the overgrown fields between the fruit trees as we decided to host our very own wedding right over here in the backyard. We finally irrigate the bottom half of the citrus orchard. Meanwhile, the garden was providing so many fresh treasures, from pears to beans, tomatoes and baby marrows.
Well,
Summer sun had the garden looking extremely lush and green. With the longer days, we were still getting projects done. Next on our to-do list was a carport for our landy. We built the structure using gum poles for a rustic look with the zinc roofing to protect it from the rain. A fun addition was hanging 2 swings from our roof, but sitting here looking out at the fields, we knew we still had lots of work to do maintaining the area, with our wedding date set for the springtime of 2026.
we have actually decided to host our wedding over here. So right in the fruit orchard and the field, we're going to be doing a backyard wedding.
Doing everything on our own using hand tools is definitely a challenge, both physically and mentally, as some days it feels like no progress has been made when we know a tractor could do the job much quicker. However, this is not in our budget at the moment. Doing all the work ourselves is extremely rewarding, and we are so looking forward to hosting our backyard wedding here with all of our special friends and family. We are planning to grow all of our own flowers for the wedding, turning our backyard into a vibrant space with different colors and varieties everywhere. We found an area in the garden where we dug up the ground, creating a large garden bed where we plant a few different flower bushes. You'll see different daisies, marigolds, roses, along with different seeds and bulbs to see how they would grow so we can plan for next year even better.
Maybe we can make that.
You can do a whole tray there for the corner.
Maybe like this one. There, where you are now.
As the days started cooling, we knew winter was on the way. At this point, our citrus was becoming much more prominent. We had our first harvest of lemons and oranges. Then we began a massive project of redoing our driveway. We began clearing the overgrown area that wasn't being utilized at the entrance of our farm where we planned to park the cars. After cutting away all the weeds, we began hand collecting rocks from around the property to level out the area. This is a project we slowly work on every so often, but in the meantime, we started work on our new tiny home build. Town trips in our landy are extra fun, and this time we collected all the supplies needed to begin our very first deck. We measured out the area between our pear trees and marked the spots where we planned to place Rika blocks. These are small concrete blocks used as structural foundations instead of having to mix and set concrete. Once the Rika blocks were in place, we framed out the 6-meter deck, screwing all the beams into place. Next, we laid 18mm plywood as the flooring, since most of this wood will be covered with our new tiny home. After figuring out the best layout to minimize cutting the plywood sheets, we added the first coat of varnish, then secured them into place using a nail gun, and suddenly we had a large floor space where we began building our new tiny home, a 5-meter geodesic dome. We put the structure together piece by piece, slowly making our way upwards until we connect the entire structure at the very top. The frame took us one entire day to complete, and we ended off with a beautiful sunset.
New home.
Before we could put the cover over, we installed the door. We found this beautiful textured glass door on Facebook Marketplace. It was perfectly timed that we had friends visiting the farm who were willing to help when it was time to pull the cover over to complete our geodesic dome. The canvas is extremely heavy, but after some time tugging and shifting, we got it into place, which meant we could start moving in. We brought in our comfy sack, a table and a fireplace before starting to build the bed. We planned to keep our van parked alongside as our kitchen, with the dome as our bedroom and our bathroom just down the path. You can think of this as a modular home. This being our bedroom, we decided to build a large king-size bed that will have storage boxes underneath. We used chunky wood from our local lumber factory, and we love how this turned out. We couldn't wait to spend the first night in our dome. Adding furniture, we started with a hanging chair. Since the metal frame is extremely strong, it can handle the weight. We put the cupboards into place and got to painting to add a pop of color into our new tiny home. We chose a light blue color called Celestial, which helps keep the space bright and feeling calm. Finally, we got our bed, which meant it was time for the final touches, like bedding, hanging our lighting, laying our carpet, and adding a luxury was our coffee machine. With a few more tasks on our to-do list, we began building a storage box for our shoes that we put our 35-litre Dometic fridge on top of. Using leftover pallet wood, we made a storage box and plan to make a few more boxes for underneath the bed in the future. We added a sink into one of the cupboards so we can easily access drinking water and refill the coffee machine. This is not necessarily meant for doing the dishes, which is why it's tucked away. Completing our dome was super exciting as it was a huge extension of our tiny home, but also a bittersweet moment as we had been living in our van full-time for nearly 4 years. Making this move is vital for us right now at this point in our life, but we know that this is not the end destination. It gave us a positive and healthy outlook towards change. Nothing is permanent and we all move through these phases of life, and how beautiful is it that we get the chance to cherish and experience such unique moments. If you are seeking something new, make the change. It is never too late to try something you're inspired by. There could be an entirely different life waiting for you out there. Over the past year, we have learned to live more connected with nature and each season. We've come to really appreciate the beauty within each, whether it's the types of fruits we harvest from the orchard, or cold rainy days indoors, noticing the levels of rapids flowing down the river increasing. We've watched the trees lose their leaves as they slowly shut down for the cold winter months, a reminder for us to slow down. With spring, the new leaves and blossoms appear as a true sign of how resilient nature is, and ultimately the cycles of life. With summer comes hot days, relaxing down by the river, in the shade of our trees and eating from the garden. We look forward to our next year on the farm as we continue to work on the land, growing our own food, living simply, and planning our backyard wedding. If you enjoyed the first year of us living off-grid, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so and ensures our video pop up on your page. Leave us a comment to let us know your thoughts or simply where you're watching from. We appreciate your support and see you next time.